town of Bedrock.
It's the Yabba-Dabba-Doo-Wop.
The Yabba-Doo-Wop.
The
We'll have a
Yabba-Dabba-Doo-Wop. Hey-o!
Hey,
Welcome
whoa!
to this episode of Kentucky Fried Roadkill.
A brief Flintstones intro there, coming right off the normal introduction music.
I guess we'll just this
we'll
is
keep
good.
that. That's
yeah, we'll
good.
just
That's
keep
very
good.
good.
I think that was a mic check. But.
Yeah, I am your redneck Rasputin, Treyton Blackburn.
And I am your fully loaded father, Evan Pride.
That's a gross sounding title.
I don't know.
I don't like that.
It's alliteration, though.
Sure. I mean, Rasputin was gross.
Yeah.
They pickled his dick.
They did.
They did.
They pickled his big ass.
Had to get a big old jar. Too,
Yeah, I know.
boy.
Dude, it's crazy how that man ran that country. He must have been.
He was having sex with the czar's wife all the time.
He was a total departure from the normal Russian emperor, right? King or whatever.
Rasputin was a wizard.
He was a wizard, but he ran Russia for a little bit.
But not.
He was a revolutionary.
No.
No, he took over. He was the guy in charge for a little bit. He got in.
Yeah, but that he wasn't he didn't have a title. He wasn't the czar. He was fucking the czar's wife and pulling strings.
Oh
behind the
yeah,
scenes,
that's
man.
right. I always get confused with that.
He was putting his dick in her eye.
In her eye.
Yeah.
Big eye.
Big eye. Big old eye.
Yeah.
You should have seen this chick's eye socket.
Yeah, he was like
Though
he was sleeping around and then manipulating them
Yeah.
to change laws through that.
Yeah, though
That's how good that dick was. That
Yeah.
it changed laws.
It changed laws. I do like to think that the Bolshevik Revolution really began with the Tsar being cucked. That would really make my view of the Bolshevik Revolution. I mean, I already think highly of the Bolshevik Revolution, but it shoot up even higher in my estimation.
Russian history is so freaking
Yeah. Hey, for all
broken,
you beautiful listeners out
shattered.
there, two things I wanna get off my chest. We try. We keep the show politics light, but
politics
I want
light.
actually three things. I want to get these three things out there.
Oh boy.
I want to get these three things out there
Strap
very loud
in.
and clear. And if you have a problem with any of these three things, you can turn the podcast off right now because I'm not interested in your patronage.
I love it. It's like we keep it politics light, but I have two. Make that three.
I've got three game changers here.
Three. And without hearing them, you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
You don't like
can
'em.
fuck off if you have an issue.
Okay, let's hear them.
Fuck capitalism.
Okay. Is that one?
That's number one.
Okay.
Fuck capitalism. Zack Snyder is a fascist.
Okay.
And trans rights.
Okay.
So those
Okay.
three things. If you have a problem with any of those three things.
Did you think of trans rights later?
No.
And you're like, I should throw that in?
No.
Or that was
just
one of the two.
Important, needs to be said.
Needs to be said. Needs to be one of the three. I thought each one of those three was gonna be a long rant.
No.
But you came in. I mean, we can get into that. You came in hot about this Zack Snyder
Ooh,
thing.
I'm pissed.
So today,
I ain't never been this pissed in my life.
Zack Snyder, the director of Justice League and many other DC comic
Fascist
movies,
propaganda pieces.
fascist propaganda, as Treyton puts it.
Yeah.
He's reduxing the Justice League, which came out 2017, 2018 or something like that.
Which was horrendous.
I saw it alone in a movie theater.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's rough.
That was back when I had Movie Pass. Remember Movie Pass?
Oh, yeah.
It was
that
like
thing that everybody said as soon as they announced what it was. Oh, well, that's never going to last.
Dude, me and my friends saw it. We were like, that is never going to last, and we are going to take full advantage of it while we have the opportunity. Yeah. That was like, there's no way. It's like people sit around like, how does Twitter make money?
Right.
How do just like, okay, ads and data and stuff. You truly cannot figure out how Movie Pass made money.
It didn't, and that's why
it
it's
didn't.
not around anymore.
I still have my fucking Movie Pass card.
Wow, you should frame it.
Yeah, I used to put it down on pong tables at frat parties.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have to lose my real ID.
They had to. They really underestimated how many movies people would see if they had a pass.
Me and my buddy Tate saw a movie like every day. Like you were allowed to see like one a day, and there was a chunk in that summer where we went every single day.
Yeah.
And one day I saw Justice League alone in a theater. And I remember, I don't know if it was just because I had seen 30 movies that month.
Sure.
And it was the 15th.
Yeah.
And I was just alone in a movie theater, and I had just been beaten down by all the other DC movies. But I initially enjoyed the first Justice League more than the other DCs. Like I enjoyed it more than Wonder Woman.
Really? That's a hot take.
Yeah, but I honestly I couldn't tell you one thing that happened in either of those movies.
In Justice League or Wonder Woman?
I just remember Wonder Woman was not terrible when all the other movies had been terrible.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, maybe these movies can be good now. And then Justice League, I was like, at least it's like Batman and Superman and the Flash, and they're all running around. Here's a question. Cyborg.
Yep. Apparently he has benefited from the Snyder Cut.
So what's happening is Zack Snyder is releasing a director's cut, which is apparently
on HBO Max.
Way longer.
4 hours.
4 hours, which is just unnecessary.
And it's being very well reviewed. I'm pissed.
You're pissed.
I'm pissed.
It's not out yet, though.
Yeah.
Also, the aspect ratio in it is 4:3, which is that of like an Instagram box. So if like you're scrolling on Instagram, so you could watch the whole movie just on Instagram. So if someone just throws it up on their timeline and you happen to come across it, you can at least check out the exposition.
Everything about it looks bad. Like, I've watched all the trailers. They all look bad. Jared Leto's Joker does the "We Live in a Society" meme. He's wearing a crown
he literally
of
says
thorns.
"We live in a society."
Fucking
right?
I
haven't been keeping up with it as much.
it looks
I
so
literally
bad.
Couldn't give two shits.
And I have such a detest for Zack Snyder as a human being.
We know
that it's hard.
Anybody who's listened to really even
any one episode understands. Oh God,
I got the Ronas.
Oh God, that's not good.
No. Here was my question. Cyborg.
Yeah.
So when I first saw Cyborg, I just assumed that it was the same Cyborg from Teen Titans.
Yep, that's him.
That's correct.
Yep.
Okay. But they really cyborged him up.
Yeah, he's a really cool character in the comics. Love Cyborg. Apparently his storyline has gotten way fleshed out in the Snyder Cut because it's 4 goddamn hours long.
Because every character's story was fleshed out.
I don't know. I just I think whenever DC movies got really poorly reviewed, like Man of Steel and BVS, there was a huge
Batman vs Superman was like a next level pile of
movie.
Dog shit.
Yeah.
They did get a little better after that. I will give them that.
But I think there was a huge fan defensiveness to the DC movies. Like, well, how come fucking Marvel movies always get well reviewed? I mean, because they're always watchable. At least.
I remember when Man of Steel came out. Man of Steel was kind of one of the first revamping of the DC universe in the same way that Marvel had been doing.
Yes.
And I was very excited for it, and I just remember people saying like, "Oh man, it fucking sucked. It was horrible. The main villain was fucking unwatchable." It's
General Zod, played by Michael Shannon.
I like Michael Shannon.
I also like Michael Shannon,
but I really like Michael Shannon's amazing in The Shape of Water.
Amazing in Knives Out.
Yes,
well.
Amazing
Actor. Michael Shannon. If
shout
you're
out
listening
Michael
to this.
Shannon. But General Zod,
I will find him.
Yeah. That was it. He's so yelly in those movies, and then Man of Steel. That was the first. It was the first of those DC movies. One of my biggest issues with it is that it's like the whole thing's in grayscale.
Yeah,
they're like black and white movies that are in color. And I just remember people saying that it sucked, and I was just like, in my head, I was because. Who's the guy who plays Superman?
Henry Cavill.
Henry
Cavill.
I've
something like that.
I've called him Cavill before. I like his Superman. He's actually one of my favorite Supermans.
I think he's a great cast for Superman.
You're just going off. I mean, Christopher Reeves, GOAT.
Yeah.
I mean,
the greatest Superman of all time.
The greatest
easily.
Superman. But like, he hasn't. What he was remade. Didn't like Christian Bale play Superman?
Christian Bale was Batman.
He was. Yeah. Okay. I'm thinking of someone else. It was. Do you remember the like early 2000s Superman? With
yes, the revival of the Christopher Reeves stories.
Was that it?
It was the same Superman, but I can't remember the actor's name.
Okay, really?
Yeah.
That one was famous because like they had the scene where they shot the gun at him and the bullet was crushed by his eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember the actor's name off the top of my head, but that movie's pretty good.
Fucking
I don't have an issue with that movie.
Jesse Eisenberg plays Lex Luthor.
Oh.
No, that's in this one.
That's in the new one.
That's in the new one.
Kevin Spacey plays Lex Luthor.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking of. Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, Kevin Spacey, who is
Jesse
a total
Eisenberg,
piece of shit.
Jesse Eisenberg, I'm sorry to have associated with Kevin Spacey.
I mean, to be fair not to Kevin Spacey, but just to be honest about Jesse Eisenberg's performance in Batman v Superman, truly nothing to write home about.
No.
And Jesse Eisenberg's a great actor.
I love Jesse Eisenberg. He won my heart with Zombieland, my first R-rated movie I ever saw.
Oh, yeah?
When I was too young to should have seen it.
Sure.
Yeah. I was staying over at a friend's house, and the parents asked me, like, you've seen this movie before, right? And I was like, yeah.
They're fleecing you out.
Yeah, my parents let me watch it
all the
whole time. And then my buddy's older brother, he like quizzed me on it. He was like, "Oh yeah." He asked me this question to clarify if I had watched the movie. He goes, "Oh yeah, have you? All right, the main character, does he get the girl at the end or not?"
Yeah, obviously.
And I was like,
it's a movie, isn't it?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, he gets it. They're like, he's good. This guy's seen it. Super fan.
This guy has seen a movie.
Yeah, and then the first 2 minutes of that movie is "For Whom the Bell Tolls" by Metallica, just and there's zombie titties flailing all over the place. The zombie strippers chasing this guy, and the dude's like impaled on a pole. And I was like, holy shit, this is what R-rated movies are like. It was quite the intro. What were we talking about before this? Jesse Eisenberg, Lex Luthor.
Not good.
Yeah. But yeah, Man of Steel.
The reason that I hate Man of Steel is, and this is why I hate most of Zack Snyder's work in the DC universe, other than the fact that he's a fascist. He is. He
makes
just
me
is.
chuckle every time.
He's a fascist. But like in the comics, there's an alternate universe where the Justice League essentially become like dictators over the earth. They like decide that they're so powerful that they should enforce their will on the whole planet.
Yeah.
And Zack Snyder thinks that is a good example of the Justice League, and like that's what they should be. And that is, I mean, that's a totalitarian dictatorship.
That reminds me of, have you ever seen The Boys?
Yeah, I've only seen season 1 of The Boys.
I've only seen episode 1.
Oh, the whole show's amazing. The first season, at least, is amazing.
That's what I've heard, and I've heard the it gets better.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I watched it with a buddy from home, and we just haven't gotten the time to watch season 2 yet.
I watched episode 1, said that's amazing. It seems like there's going to be a lot to unpack in this show, and I just
there is a lot to
never
unpack.
got around to
We'll have to do a Boys
2.
episode when you finish the first season.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
We'll talk about season 1 of The Boys. So all of you people in 2018, spoiler alert, or whenever the first season came out.
Watch season 1. But that was crazy, and that show is cool because one, it's super violent, which is awesome. It's awesome.
It's hard to watch at points. You should know that going forward. It's got some hard scenes to watch.
Dude, I won't spoil the first scene, but the first fucking scene with the fast dude, it's brutal.
I will tell you that is just setting the tone, and it gets worse.
That excites me though, because you're so watered down with these Marvel movies and
the violence they're allowed to show.
Yeah, and it's very martial arty. It's very redirection, throw you over this table, and when you fall and the audience magically doesn't see where you land, which is probably on a fucking spike. A lot of people die in Marvel movies.
Yeah.
And they only really show the aliens or major characters dying.
Well, but here's the thing about
they never show a pedestrian running down the street and just gets speared by some aliens
Yeah.
claw.
But here's the thing about like Marvel movies, right? Like we don't want to see that in Marvel movies. That's why something
No.
like The Boys needs to exist.
No,
so
yeah,
we can
and
have
that's
that.
and that's why like Deadpool is fun because
Yeah.
it's like, hey, this is the same universe. This is all the same stuff. It's the same color scale as all the Marvel movies
Yeah.
you're used to seeing, but we can say fuck in this one.
and we can just do gross shit.
Gross shit.
God,
God,
but
Deadpool's fun.
The Boys, and like what it falls into that like very Watchmen category of like it's satirizing the superhero genre by like showing if superheroes
Were real.
existed.
They
I
would
don't know about were real. I always have a problem with that line of thinking.
because
I don't
you think they
think-
are real.
No, I just don't think
They're
that-
already among us.
What
are you talking about?
I just don't think that if superheroes existed, 100% of them would be shitty. I just don't believe that. I believe there would be some shitty ones, for sure.
They're not, but they're not all shitty in that show. All the high-powered ones are. I think that's the. I've only seen the first episode,
Yeah.
but I thought that was kind of the vibe of it. It's like the government, but they're all superheroes. It's like if we had this.
Well, it's a corporation more than the government.
Yeah, it's a corporation, but it's like this idea if we had this extra branch of the military,
Yeah.
just or something, or a corporation is
A military contractor, essentially.
essentially a high corporation military contractor. The people that often rise to run those high corporations, and the people at the top are kind of cutthroat, shitty people.
Yeah,
and
without a doubt. Fuck
yeah.
capitalism.
And all the not 100% of the time, but not fuck capitalism
Fuck
100%
capitalism,
of the
100%.
time, but
100% of the time.
not the CEOs. They're not always shitty people.
You don't think that CEOs are always shitty?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know about that.
I don't think so.
I think
it's a different question. Are billionaires always shitty?
yes.
You could philosophically, which I disagree with.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say you're philosophically incorrect.
Yeah,
And in a world where children starve for someone to be a billionaire, I think it is inherently unethical. The existence of someone hoarding that much wealth. It's like dragons, right? Like the most evil thing people in medieval times could think of was somebody hoarding wealth.
yeah, a big
scaly lizard creature
fire-breathing.
hoarding wealth.
No, yeah. I don't think hoarding of wealth is good. Billionaires, fuck it. I'm not defending billionaires.
All billionaires are bad.
All billionaires.
If you don't want to be bad, don't be a billionaire. Give some of your money away.
I like Mark Cuban.
I don't.
Go Mavs.
Don't care for it. If you don't be a billionaire anymore. Every time your market share, like I feel like at $999 million, we should just like cut off the money people can have, give them a trophy, say you won capitalism, and be done with it. Like you won capitalism.
Yeah. I don't have the intellect to debate you because I don't know anything about capitalism or its follies or anything.
I think mostly people are victims of capitalism, right? People are in a capitalistic structure. People are forced to exist this way. The hoarding of wealth is incentivized by the economic system.
Yeah,
and
well, I think what it is that it's been rigged since day one.
Because capitalism
and the people in power have set up a system for themselves to succeed at other people's expense.
But you know what that's called? Like setting yourself up to succeed at the expense of others?
What, fascism?
Capitalism.
Capitalism.
It's capitalism. Capitalism is literally getting the most value out of the least amount of labor. Like I have this discussion with a capitalist friend of mine quite frequently. And like he's like, capitalism is working exactly how it's supposed to. I'm like, yeah, the same way an ass smacking machine works exactly how it's designed to do. It's still not cool that it's designed to smack your ass.
I think I don't know. I think capitalism. I think theoretically, like theoretically, in a perfect world, communism would work great. But we don't live in a perfect world, so it doesn't. But I don't. But theoretically, in a perfect world, capitalism, I do agree with you. Just left to its own, I'm not a free market guy, but I'm a free market guy. Like I'm kind of financially conservative. And
Interesting.
well, I mean, if we were to plot out just on one of those political compasses, I'd be down in the bottom left quadrant with you, probably.
Interesting. I'm like at the edges of the bottom left quadrant.
I know, yeah. So somewhere the middle ground between you, because you're a guy that has pretty extremist thoughts.
I guess that's true.
You take a hard stance on something.
I just don't
typically.
I don't think that moderate. I mean, you got to understand. I grew up in not only an impoverished community. I grew up in poverty.
Yeah.
And I could have easily subscribed myself to a bootstraps mentality, but the fact of the matter is, I have been blessed with opportunity, and I've been blessed with the privilege of my birth, and I cannot reflect on my success without acknowledging those two things and saying that other people who don't look like me, who haven't read as many books as me, or haven't gone to college, if I hadn't gotten the education that I got,
yeah,
I would be like any number of uneducated people in Appalachia, killing themselves to get by. And the reason that I feel so extreme economically is, I mean, people have been trying moderate solutions for 500 years, and it hasn't done jack shit for my people. The only thing that's ever done us any good is striking and killing Pinkerton thugs who tried to stop us from unionizing. That's the only thing that's ever done us any good.
Yeah.
So it seems as though that is the most effective route to real change and the betterment of people's lives.
Interesting. Taking a hard stance. So okay. I understand everything you say, and I agree with it where you're coming from, and it's interesting to get that's where you're coming from.
Yeah. Well, and I'm not going to say here that like no moderate politician has ever done anything good. I mean, Teddy Roosevelt's trust busting.
No, it's the
is a great thing, but like
it's the outspoken ones. But just how I approach life as a philosophy, and just I'm always pretty moderate in myself. I'm very excessive.
Sure.
Like whenever I hit a drive-through or some shit like that. but in my personal beliefs, I'm fairly moderate. I should clarify, moderate compared to our generation.
Okay.
Because we're a generation of extremists.
Well, I mean, my grandfather was involved in violent conflict.
No, I know, but also Appalachia, a different story.
Appalachia.
Appalachia. Oh my God, I'm gonna get an apple thrown at me.
That's right. That's exactly right.
No, I'm just. I lost my point. What was I talking about?
Moderation, moderate.
Yeah.
Your resting philosophy. Of
well,
moderation.
I guess from my perspective, growing up not in poverty.
I
don't know. A bootstraps mentality wasn't necessary from me.
Yeah,
it was
because the only people who ever get told to pull themselves up by their bootstraps are the poor.
Yeah, and but it was still instilled in me.
Yeah,
through seeing what other people in my family have done. My parents, I guess.
I just don't.
But here, let me finish. But my personal philosophy, I'm very just moderate in everything. I think there's always normally more to the story. And I don't know. I would consider myself as someone whose opinion can be swayed. If you present a good enough argument, but I have to make it make sense to me.
Oh,
if people, yeah, like I can, like you can say capitalism is bad,
yeah,
and I get how it's bad, but like I don't know, what's a non-political example. It just say capitalism is bad, 100%. It's evil. Got to get rid of it.
Yeah.
You know, I guess I just stand in the middle of it. I'm kind of rambling, but but it's how, you know, it's Tim Minchin has a great song called The Fence.
I love Tim Minchin.
He's great.
He's
he has a song called The Fence, and it's an anthem to ambivalence is what he calls it. And I just consider myself a very ambivalent person. I'm in the middle. I'm neutral. I'm not easy to get worked up emotionally. I'll get heated in a point or whatever. But I just think I'm a hard rock to move.
Yeah.
And I have to if someone here's the point. If someone were to come at me with a big thing like capitalism is evil, we need to tear it down, for me to agree with them, they have to make it make sense to me. And I have questions and shit that I never think of in the moment. Mm-hmm. And I'm not well read on any of that.
Sure. Seems to me like you should start speaking to some left-leaning economics professors.
Yeah, or I could just speak to no economics professors. Or this is how I'm choosing to live my life. I'll speak to no economics professors, and I'll go to open mics at night and yell at strangers.
Here's the thing. I feel so passionately as I do, and I don't say this to like belittle your perspectives or anything. You know, I have a tremendous amount of respect for you.
No, I'm going to speak over you for this.
No, of course, yeah.
No, I'm speaking from my point of privilege, and if I had grown up in your circumstances, I'm pretty extreme. People are always extreme about the things that apply to them.
Sure, I agree.
First
with that,
and foremost,
speaking.
And so like, you know, and that's why when you look back at history as like a white straight dude or all that stuff, you can't it's hard to be like, well we didn't this part didn't go so well for us or whatever. So you have to take all that. You have to know where you're at.
Right.
And if you always have to, it's the Atticus Finch quote, if you were to walk a mile in another man's shoes, understand the perspectives. If I were to grow up in any other, I don't know, I don't want to place
culture.
myself. Yeah, culture. I don't want to place myself in a specific culture, but I would be a much different person. Well, and I would hold much different beliefs, probably more extreme.
Yeah, well, and like for you really don't, and far be it for me to equate the Appalachian struggle with like the struggles that like other marginalized communities have had in this world, like people of color, queer people. Like it's just different. But you don't really have any history to look back on and see your people violently rebuked.
Yeah.
In a movement for fairness.
Yeah.
And it like I can
I don't have any chips on my shoulder.
Right. I can look back on my history. Like my grandfather was born in the 1910s.
Yeah.
My grandfather watched men die to form unions, to input mine safety standards, and to pay them in wages. Because you got to remember, company owners paid miners in scrip. They wouldn't give them money for labor. They were indentured servants that could only buy from the company's store. You've got to understand that like the labor movement in America is the closest we've ever gotten to a true communist revolution. The U.S. military mobilized on Blair Mountain and killed Appalachian miners. And like, not to say that, you know, everybody has valid perspectives based on their own perceptions of the world, but like I can look back not that long ago and see that like resistance to my community, and you just can't. And it's the same way with like all marginalized groups. Like you and I cannot, we can acknowledge, understand, and feel bad about, and do everything we can in the moment to attempt to rectify the intense cultural genocide and horror that was American slavery. But at the end of the day, you and I, there is no pain that we can experience.
No,
that can equate to that.
No, I'm inherently disengaged from it. Not disengaged. That sounds insensitive. Dispatched from it. Departed from
Separated
it.
from it.
Separated. That's the word.
And our ancestors, and we still reap the benefits of the American slave trade. We still reap those benefits, and like that's the modern problem that still needs to get solved. And I just don't like, in the grand scheme of history, beyond innovation, because I do believe that technological innovation to some extent is attributable to a capitalist model, right? Like when there is incentive for the new,
yes,
in terms of like monetary gains, of course innovation's going to happen.
Yeah.
That is the sole sort of central good of capitalism. But philosophically, I don't believe the human cost of capitalism is equitable to the innovation we get from it.
Yeah, but isn't there a middle ground between? I understand what you're talking about, where your perspective that motivates your attitude towards it.
And not every Appalachian feels the way I do. I also want to clarify that. Like, I by no means speak for every Appalachian. This is my internalized experience of being an Appalachian in the history of the American labor movement.
Yeah. No, but I think what I say, because like I agree with everything you're saying, and I understand and empathize and all those SAT words you were using.
Yeah, the platitudes.
Yeah, all the platitudes, the beatitudes.
Yeah, exactly.
When I say I'm very, because if I were to take a political compass thing, I'd be down left. I think most. I won't say that most people of our generation are, but most people where I was raised in suburbia of a city in Kentucky, Louisville. It's not a secret. Just so that's, I mean, but what I mean when I just say I'm ambivalent and I'm in the middle is I think that both things can be true. That both things, like there can be a version that's like in the middle of like what's a mix of capitalism and socialism. Because like I agree with the idea. Social
democracy would be a mixture between socialism and capitalism.
Well, then there I am. I'm a social democrat.
You're a social democrat.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know what even is that.
Bernie Sanders is a social democrat.
I like Bernie.
Bernie is a social democrat.
Yeah, I like Bernie.
If you think that everything, if you say that what Bernie wants is enough, you're a social democrat.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a step in the right direction.
You're right. Because essentially between capitalism and socialism, it's capitalism, social democrat, democratic socialist.
Democratic socialist. I've heard that before.
Bernie Sanders labels himself a democratic socialist, and far be it for me to analyze his philosophy in private, but his policy is not in line with what democratic socialism is. He's a social democrat.
Okay. Well,
they have very minor definitional differences.
Well, I don't know anything. It's funny.
I don't know anything.
I think that's pretty clear. No, I don't know anything about socialism or capitalism or any of the isms. And it's funny because we were just talking about this before the podcast. I was like, when you get into like political stuff like socialism and like capitalism and all that, just know I don't know really what you're talking about. That's pretty much what I said. And I was like, and I'm just gonna lean back on the ropes and you do your thing. No, no. So I just. Of how you just explained it to me, I believe that two things can be true. I believe that people can be. I think that incentives for work and and incentivizing people to work hard and do all that, I think that's good.
Well,
it drives innovation and creativity and community, I believe. But also, I think that it's also important to help marginalized people and pick people up that have been historically
and institutionally,
institutionally put down.
Yeah.
Now, when you say institutionally, that's what I believe. Like, I believe that you should work hard, and it's good to work hard.
Yeah.
And that, like, I don't think people should get handouts. But also, I'm not like, I don't consider it a handout to help someone who's in poverty or something like that. Or just, I don't know. It's when it gets into like policy and it's like, oh, really? Did you know that in 1975 this guy did that, which affected this, which happened next year, and that's why fucking Justice League is a fascist movie. Yeah, I mean, it's when it gets into the details.
I wouldn't go so far as to say that, like, again, I'm not going to argue from my position, because if we broke down the nuance of what I believe, and politically, we would be here for 4 or 5 hours.
No, yeah,
and we can't. But
I think that's important. That if you were to break down nuanced everything you believe, it should take forever.
Yeah,
because some people just like, I believe this, that.
Yeah, but like, if a communist or a socialist were to argue with you about incentives, right? Like, people think that incentive is a purely capitalist idea. That not so. In capitalism, the incentive is money. In communism, the incentive to work hard is to eat. Like, if you don't contribute to the community, you don't reap the benefits of the community. Like, communism is a very labor-focused economic model. And the idea is people will work or they will starve. And that's the human cost of that. But the people who don't make it out of communism are the people who choose not to contribute. And like, that's why in a lot of Marxist models, the CEOs and the billionaires are painted as leeches, because if we were living in a labor-centric society, they would be the ones in poverty. And I'm not saying that they should suffer poverty simply because of, their unwillingness to contribute. That's not what I believe. I'm just saying, in a communist or socialist model, that is the argument that would be made against you. It's like, oh yeah, there's plenty of incentive in communism. Eating is a good one. Eating is a great incentive.
Yeah. Well, it's just, every time I think of a full-fledged communism or whatever, and socialism and all that jazz, I just think of, like, isn't to gain, like, for everything to be right, where, like, you have the lines where, here, that's yours, or this is my basic understanding of socialism. Okay. You have to bear with me. I can see the look on your face.
I'm bearing.
You're bearing. Isn't it historically, it seems to get to a place where that's the system, the people at the top are still stepping on necks and oppressing people. I mean, I always think of Stalin as the great example.
Everybody always thinks of Stalin, but like the again, if a communist were here,
which is the title of the episode, if a communist were here,
they would tell you that there's never been a true communistic state, because the hierarchical structures have never been demolished. Like, under communism, there are no hierarchies. There are no people in charge. The only thing is there are democratically elected people who get put in charge of distributing resources, and that's it. And those get reelected.
Now I think here's where my personal philosophy.
Stalin was an autocrat and a dictator. He wasn't evil because he was a communist. He was evil because he was a tyrant.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I just think people are inherently flawed, and people are inherently greedy and power hungry, and there are certain people that will always change the rules, no matter what ism that they're all shooting for. I think there are certain people that will always change the rules in order to favor themselves,
But that's why the collective is so important. That's why unionizing is so important. So that
I'm
when
not
the greedy
against-
people try to change the rules, 30 or 40 people can say, no, we're not going to let that happen.
Yeah. But then, like, so what does a perfect communist society? What would that look like? Just everybody.
You got to understand. There's even nuance within communism, right? So like there are communists who believe there needs to be a state because a redistribution of resources at that scale can't happen without a formal state. But there are also anarcho-communists who believe that there should be no state, and that
people who are like there should be no government, man. We should just be living off the trees, and you can stay in my cave. I'll give you some berries.
Exactly. And again, I'm not saying how I lean in this economic model conversation.
No.
I'm just saying that like there is nuance even within that, and because there has never been a true communistic state, it's all theoretical. We have no idea what real communism looks like because in a capitalist world, communism cannot be allowed to thrive because communism is the ultimate threat to capitalism. It is an organization of the common people saying, we don't like that there are people who are rewarded for being greedy. And capitalism, I mean, David Mamet, who's a fucking tool and probably a fascist.
Wait, David Mamet?
Yeah, David Mamet fucking sucks, dude. He's
Mamet.
the worst. He wrote Glengarry Glen Ross.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got him and Harold Pinter mixed up.
He said it in Glengarry Glen Ross. The adage of capitalism is greed is good. Wanting more is a moral positive.
That's
in
Wall
capitalism.
Street too. Greed is good.
Exactly. And like that is, I don't believe we should continue to support and vilify and defend a system that rewards the greedy and the flawed. That's my problem.
Yeah.
It's the greedy people in this world who take more than they need, get to exist in this system, and the people who work and labor and are just trying to survive are the ones who get the shitty end of the stick. I think ethically, capitalism rewards the worst in humanity.
Yeah.
Now, but if you believe that at our core we're always going to act on our worst interests, then we're having a discussion about Hobbes and Rousseau and if man is inherently evil. But that's a much larger philosophical question.
Okay. So
because I'm a Rousseauian, I believe that man is inherently good and it is the circumstances that corrupt.
Okay.
Hobbes believed that man is inherently evil and it is society that keeps that in check.
See, I am in the middle of that. I just believe I think we're animals. I think we're very smart animals that have figured out society on a way larger system that makes sense.
I mean, sure, scientifically speaking, but like this is a philosophical conversation.
Philosophical.
Though those things are true of what you said, what does that say about humanity?
Well, okay.
Did we create society because we said we can't progress any further without a society? Or did the best in us prevail and say, we do better when we help each other, let's make a society?
Yeah, but
society.
But we live.
We live in a
society.
Oh no, it's Jared Leto's Joker.
Oh my god.
No.
Run.
Get out of here.
His gold teeth are rotting
You
away.
can't be here. This is our podcast.
Put that machine gun down.
That's right.
Joker shouldn't have a machine gun.
Oh, he's got to use condom. Fuck. No.
No. Oh no, he's not even
It's a rat. It's a rat.
Yeah, he's still in character.
Oh god. If anybody hears this message, please call the police.
I think the but I guess when I said I'm in the middle, I think that there are some people that are inherently good, and I think there are some people that are inherently evil.
Ooh, interesting.
Like I don't think all people are evil or all people are good. I think there's got to be some split down the middle. I think there's some people who are completely apathetic and don't give a fuck, truly don't give a fuck, truly animals.
Sure.
Who are just neutral. Some people are just extremely good-willed, and some people are just extremely bad-willed.
Hey,
I don't know.
if a philosopher were here,
'Cause-
they're not. If a philosopher were here, they would ask you what good and evil are. And that's a whole fucking other can of worms.
Well, it's also weird because it's like I'll watch these serial killers and I
From afar, I
like-
assume.
yeah, from afar.
Not up close.
Documentaries made on their lives after they've been executed.
You're not out there with Ed Gein,
No,
fucking
in a ghillie suit.
yeah, with a fucking camcorder.
Right. So the Lexingtonian Strangler's in the other room. We've got our Super 8 cam.
That's right. We're gonna see if we can get a look.
We're also in the year 1973. And I'm from whatever
There's a lot
country
of
has
serial
this
killers
accent.
in the 1970s, huh?
Yeah. Shit was going wild.
But anyway, with serial killers.
Yeah, so I would like to have your philosophy. I would like to believe that all people are good. What Hobbes and Shaw. Rousseau.
Hobbes and Shaw.
Yeah. Hobbes and Shaw. Yeah. I would love to be a Rousseau boy, but it's when I watch those documentaries on serial killers and
Right.
stuff because I know.
But do you think?
But-
do you think serial killers are born that way, or do you think it's society that makes them this way?
So here's the thing. I'm watching what's it's called The Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez. I'm watching that one. Richard Ramirez, and what about Ted Bundy? Did you see the Ted Bundy tapes?
I did not see the Ted Bundy tapes.
That one was really good. I think Ted Bundy is the most interesting serial killer because he's very close to a real person. And what's
he was a real person, Evan.
but he was close to a normal person. He was normal adjacent.
Sure.
He was very egotistical and all the things, and also he killed and ate people and like all the things that were wrong with him. Sure, but like that was the thing about him.
He presented normally.
So when you go into the character of someone, it's your brain / genetics / every just animal instinct you have going on through years of evolution, and then you also have it's nurture and nature. So you have your nurture and your nature, and I guess that's at the core of the question: is what is more powerful, nurture or nature?
Yeah,
I think that is nature or nurture. I think nurture is more powerful.
I think nurture is as well.
So Ted Bundy,
welcome to
Richard Ramirez.
Ted, welcome to Rousseau philosophy.
Welcome to TED Talks. The TED we'll be talking about today is Ted Bundy.
Two people who are not philosophy students talking about philosophy.
What if TED Talk was only them talking about people named Ted?
I think it would be a much more interesting concept.
And a lot less episodes.
Yeah, a lot less episodes, but much more like nuanced, detailed content, surely.
Yeah. So like Ted Bundy and Richard Ramirez, these guys, they grow up, they have horrible childhoods. They're like beaten by their alcoholic father, and then they're diddled by their uncle, and then they witness someone get gunned down, and they just have horrible upbringings. Just everything you can do to tarnish a human brain and get them going in the wrong way. These guys went through when they're coming up.
Yeah.
And then they do these horrendous things. They kill a bunch of people. And so I'm sitting there at the end of every documentary, and I'm like, is this person like should I pity the fact? Should I hate this person for ever existing and for the terrible things they did? Or should I? Because I always look at it from a very human element.
Sure.
Just like this is someone's son who just was fucked up from day one, and just the circumstances and the genetics that cocktail.
Yeah.
It resulted in all these people being murdered. But at the core of it, there's still dead bodies everywhere. But it's still a child that was just sent down the wrong path.
Well, and I think both of those things can be true, right? Like,
yeah, and I think so
Ted
too.
Bundy can be a monster, but a monster who was created by circumstances.
Yeah.
Like, if we lived in a world where society got the abusive father out of the picture, or if the father didn't have this sort of toxic mentality that he had to beat his kid, or if we lived in a society where the uncle didn't have these repressed feelings and went to therapy and understood that these urges were wrong, and this didn't happen, who's to say if these people would still be serial killers? That's a speculative, philosophical, and moral question. But I choose to believe that if society
had taken care
of them, this would not happen. I think that.
Okay, so if Hitler got into art school, we wouldn't have had the Holocaust.
Maybe.
Guy.
I mean, again, that's speculative philosophy. I'm not going to downplay Hitler being a monster, but at the same time, monsters are, they don't appear from whole cloth. Monsters are made.
Yeah.
And understanding how society can keep monsters from happening is important. And I believe in the core of my being that the best way to keep monsters from happening is equality, empathy, and fairness. Whenever there is a totem pole or any kind of hierarchical structure, the people on the bottom are always going to get mad at the people at the top.
Yeah.
And the people at the top are always going to try to keep the people at the bottom down. It's the natural state of a hierarchy.
Yeah.
People who have power like to maintain it. And that's not a moral judgment or a moral condemnation. That is just the nature of hierarchies. So I just believe the world would be better if hierarchies were dismantled.
But don't you think that hierarchies are part of human nature as well?
No.
But just the essential idea of one person on top of it. There's leaders and there's followers.
I don't believe in that.
You don't believe that there's
no
or not. That sounds like that sounds like something that you would read on some douchey Instagram post.
Yeah.
Listen, buddy,
there's
leaders and there's followers. Which one you want to be?
If you want to be a leader, go to my website and buy my whey powder products.
No, but I do believe that. I don't know. I think that humans are so flawed and we have to be taken care of and directed and help steered in so many different ways so that we don't have a bunch of Ted Bundys walking around that I just lost my point. What were we talking about? Hierarchies. Oh, that some people naturally gravitate towards, hey, there's a lot of shit going on. I'll do this. Why don't we just consolidate this? I'll do this. You guys go over there, do that.
But hierarchies aren't about responsibility. Hierarchies are about power. People can have different responsibilities, different skill sets without having power over each other.
Okay, well that's different. Yeah.
I'm talking about hierarchical structures. Like
class structures.
Exactly.
Okay.
If the world did not have class structures and everybody was perceived equally, there would be much less, in my opinion, hatred and bigotry and division in the world.
Well, yeah, but I agree, but that's a fantasy world.
I mean, and unless a revolution happens,
I think it'd have to be a pretty fucking major revolution.
It'd have to be global at this. I mean, at this point, because I'm a realist. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think it's going to happen. Most of my economic belief and even political belief in a lot of ways is theoretical. If I had my way, this is how I think the world would be better.
Okay.
And I'll keep voting toward that better. As close as I can get to the better, I'll keep voting that way.
Okay. That explains a good fundamental difference between you and I, because I'm pretty set in reality. I live in my own world.
Yeah.
But I try to be pretty set in reality, and I vote towards things that I think will actually happen.
I don't subscribe to that philosophy. Not to say that it's a wrong approach. That's a perfectly valid way to approach the world. But if there's a candidate I agree with more than the candidate who's likely going to win,
oh no,
I'm going to vote with that candidate because that's the goal I'm pushing toward. And more votes toward that candidate platforms the message. 15 years ago in this country, you couldn't have called yourself a socialist and been a viable presidential candidate.
No.
And now you can.
I agree. I agree with that. I mean, don't vote for who you. I didn't
vote for Joe Biden in the primaries.
I didn't either.
I didn't vote for him. But
I didn't vote in the primaries.
I voted for Bernie Sanders in the primaries.
I didn't vote in the primaries because it didn't matter at that point. It got around to Kentucky, and they had already decided that Joe Biden was the guy.
Was the nominee.
And I was like, well, everybody's like, write in Bernie. I'm like, well, that's not going to do anything.
Well, I mean, it does do one thing, and it furthers his legitimacy.
I vote third party for the big presidential election because
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Because every year, the more people that vote.
Even against Trump this time?
I don't want to vote for Biden.
What? Whoa.
I don't like Sleepy Joe Biden.
Whoa.
I don't like nasty Donald either.
But Trump is so much worse.
Yeah, but
so much worse.
Yeah, but realism speaking, voting in Kentucky, which is a red state, it's always red. And I think, and
you cast a protest ballot.
I cast I guess a protest ballot, but I also think that my ideal world is a world that does not have the two-party system. That is like 3, 4, 5. I don't know.
I would love multiple. I wish we had elections like runoff elections where like instead of voting for one candidate, you could vote for like your first choice, second choice, third choice, fourth choice, and fifth choice.
Yeah.
And whoever has like
the most collective points,
exactly, gets to be. I like that model.
Yeah, but
and there are some countries in the world that do that. I understand why we don't do it because the people in power don't want it to happen.
Yeah, voter suppression.
Yeah,
I'm 100% behind you on that. Voter suppression is one of my fucking that really gets my.
It bothers me when people are like, some people don't deserve to vote. I'm like, which people are you referring to? What people do you think don't deserve to vote? Because I would really like to know how you narrow that down. Because I think I know how you narrow that down, but I just want to hear you say it.
Well, I mean, that's another big philosophical thing. It's like, should dumb people be allowed to aside?
100% they should.
Yeah.
They live here.
They live here. They get a voice.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing.
I'm very human centric. I think that to say, should dumb people get to vote? My first question is, are dumb people not people? Because it's starting to sound like you believe in a meritocracy where only people who are intelligent or have some sort of special skill set get to be at the top. And I don't know that I like that. I don't like hierarchies. I do not. It's why I direct the way I do. I try to give as much power away as a director as I possibly can.
Yeah. And it helps.
And I don't like to be perceived as a power figure in the room.
But
I don't want you all to whenever I come in the room, be like, oh shit, Treyton's here. Everybody's got to be serious now.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Of all the hierarchies, a meritocracy is my favorite. I like meritocracy.
You like meritocracies?
Yeah, it's based off to my understanding of what a meritocracy is, it's earned off the merit. So
but the question is who sets the ruler for what is merit?
When I think of meritocracy, I think of it in the film in the guise of stand-up comedy because stand-up is the ultimate meritocracy where the people are the ones choosing, the audience.
Okay.
So
a democratic meritocracy.
Yeah.
You believe that people are presented with skill sets.
Yes,
and people should get to vote of which skill sets they want the most.
Yes, and the voting comes from how hard the people are laughing.
Interesting.
That's meritocracy. That's how comedy works as a meritocracy thing. It's like, before you're an open micer, you have to prove that you can get people to laugh before we're going to pay you. Okay, we're paying you. Before people are going to come see your show, you have to prove to people, and then it's all based off merit and what you earn.
See, I can't even think of if I had to choose a preferred hierarchy, I can't even think of one. Every hierarchy I can think of is inherently flawed because I don't think it's truly.
The food pyramid?
Huh?
The food pyramid?
They got rid of that bitch years ago, and you know it.
I love the fucking South Park episodes. They got nutrition wrong. They got it backwards.
They got it backwards.
Turn the food pyramid upside down, and it's like it turns out you need to eat minute levels of vegetables and only eat like fatty foods. That's the proper health diet.
I just like, gosh, I don't know. If I had to pick a hierarchical structure, God, I don't know. They all suck so bad. Probably, I don't know.
But I couldn't even name a bunch of hierarchical structures. Maybe besides like just a class system, the caste system.
Yeah, that would be.
But
that's a religious hierarchical structure.
But like I guess that's class. That's classes.
That would be
that's
like
what I meant.
All class hierarchical structures are plutocracies.
Okay, so I didn't even know the word for it.
Plutocracy is wealthy on top, poor at the bottom.
And who do you think named it that?
Huh?
Pluto?
Probably when he was still a planet.
Hey, here's the thing. So we're going we're about an hour here, so we should wrap this up soon.
Yeah, so in conclusion, fuck capitalism.
Yeah.
In conclusion,
and in conclusion for me, maybe so.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
Maybe so.
This was a very economics forward for all you fucking economics fans out there. I hope you enjoy.
Yeah. What was the name of this episode we decided on?
If a communist were here.
If a communist were here, that's
communist
great.
were here.
All right. So
They're not though.
Let's end this on this. What's your favorite planet?
Favorite planet?
Yeah, because you mentioned Pluto.
I'm partial to Saturn.
Saturn.
The ringed planet. I've always thought that the rings are very beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'm very partial to Saturn.
I was always a Neptune kid.
Neptune.
Growing up, because I was like, it's out there. It's a gas. I feel like
very blue.
It was very blue, and I always felt like Neptune didn't get enough love.
Sure, I get that.
Pluto, it would have gotten it. I guess now it's the furthest out there. Now that Pluto's...
I don't remember the order. I thought Pluto got reinstated as a planet. Is Pluto a planet? Does anyone know?
Right in
if Pluto's still a planet. We're too lazy to Google it.
Neil deGrasse Armstrong. Neil deGrasse Tyson.
If you're out there listening.
If you're listening, write in with a very wordy condescending.
Yeah, a condescension, and let us know.
I love Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Did
you ever watch Cosmos?
I did not.
What about the old Cosmos with Carl Sagan?
Carl Sagan. Interesting fun fact about Carl Sagan. He was born on my birthday.
Really?
December the 20th. No, he died on my birthday. He died on December the 20th.
Oh.
Yep, he died on 1996. He died on the day I was born.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Carl Sagan died so that I could live.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I am his I like took his spot on Earth.
You're so nothing like Carl Sagan.
What is the most unlike Carl Sagan thing that I am?
I would just the way you speak, because you're both smart guys. He went down the science and astronomy and all that rabbit hole. You went down the creativity rabbit hole, but he talked very much.
I could talk like that if you wanted me to.
The universe was created over 13 billion years ago. 19 million billion years ago. He's very slow-paced guy, the original Cosmos, but very interesting.
This is an actual thing I heard at work today. I want to leave you with this. So I was in a meeting with one of my coworkers, and I was talking, and like right in the middle of the meeting, she stopped the meeting, and she said, "Treyton, I love your voice. I love hearing you talk. Your voice is so disarming." And I was like, well, that's a fucking first I've ever heard that.
You should listen to
Disarming
Kentucky Fried Roadkill.
Listen to the show. I wouldn't subject her to that. Oh, well, this has been the business and commerce edition of Kentucky Fried Roadkill.
Yeah. I think it's safe to say we figured it all out.
We did.
We solved it.
Yeah, we have. We're gonna start dismantling oppressive structures next week. So if you would like to contribute to that, listen to the podcast, email in, and we'll get this thing rolling.
What if you know how just very little things can just steamroll and catch things and just become a whole thing out of nowhere?
Mm-hmm.
Like Proud Boys started as like a joke like club, and then it steamrolled
a fascist joke club
into what it is now.
Yeah.
What if we took down the government with this podcast?
That would rule. That would totally rule.
Like when they wrote history books years later,
they're like starting with a podcast.
The anarchist movement, starting with episode 12.
The anarcho-communist movement, beginning in episode 12 of Kentucky Fried Roadkill.
Yeah.
Surely there are other anarcho-communists out there who deserve more credit than us. I heard about this from somebody.
Yeah. And if they were here, we wouldn't have gotten a word in edgewise.
No, they probably would have had better points too.
Yeah.
They probably would have. I mean, really shown us some things. Hey, if you're an anarcho-communist and would like to come on the show, please email us at our email address. Evan, what is it?
kyfriedroadkill@gmail.com.
Yeah, if you are an anarcho-communist, send an email to that email address. We'll bring you on for a segment, a brief 15 to 20 minute segment where you can explain all of anarcho-communism to us.
And you have to make it make sense to me.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So we love you. We care about you. We think about you often.
Yes.
Who signed off last time?
Shit.
Can't remember.
The last 2 episodes we did back to back.
We did, so it's hard because we each did. Wait.
I think it was you.
I did it last.
Or was it you?
I think it was me last. If it wasn't me last, I'll do 2 next week.
Okay.
I think it's I think it's your turn.
Okay, it's my turn.
Yeah. Okay. You want me to count you off?
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna count you off like Carl said. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I've had to fart for like the past half hour, and I haven't trusted it because I think it's a big fat shit.
This is
So
Kentucky Fried Roadkill. I'm Treyton Blackburn.
I am Evan Pride. I'm gonna go shit. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.